Happy Monday. Over this last weekend, my boyfriend and I actually went out and I got this as a present. It's the latitude and longitude of where we first met. And so the fun thing about that is that we got to relive how we met, how we came together for the first time. And as we come out of Valentine's Day weekend and start our weeks again in this dreary February weather, I want to come back to this idea of talking to our people as if they are our friends, as if they are people that we actually care about. And you might be saying, whoa, whoa, Kabrina, I actually do care about my people. Yes, and can we show them that we care about them more? And so when we talk about things like our email list and our social media and the way that we're connecting with our clients as a full, bigger idea, we want to think about this idea of reminding them where we found them or where they found us. Because when we start to do that, of like, hey, I know that you followed me on Instagram, or hey, I know that you got onto my email list through here, or hey, thanks for being on my email list for the last year, we show people that we appreciate them. And especially because we live in a world where marketing is changing, it's shifting, and it has been really since the pandemic. And so when we think about how we want to interact with our people, we have to think about the fact that they've become smarter to the marketing techniques that we use. This is why we're seeing people go, oh, the old stuff works so much better. It's not that any of these things work better or worse. They're going to work different for you and your people, depending on what you're going to do. One of the things that I want to start with before we jump into this is this idea that I can give you the best strategy. I can give you the best marketing techniques. But if you're not going to use them or they don't fit into how you already run your business, it doesn't matter about what I tell you. Because if we're not actually implementing the cool ideas, nothing's going to change still. So I want to preface that because we're going to walk into what this looks like. And this is an older idea that we're refreshing with how do we do this digitally. So many of you have heard of things like ManyChat and tagging in your emails and things like that. And so that's really what we're going to be focusing on when we talk about how do we remind people where they came from. We're going to use a couple examples using those two specifically. And if there's another one that you're like, hey, Kabrina, I use this, or here's something that our business is doing, or our associates are meeting people in person and this is how we'd like to remind them, stick a comment in the comments, DM me. We can go over your specific ideas of how this works for you together. But when we think about how we connect with people, I want to remind people, where did I meet them? What is that special thing for them that makes it very obvious that I'm paying attention? Because just like when you say something to somebody and you mention your favorite coffee, for example, and that person comes back and weeks later brings you your favorite coffee, you're like, oh, I feel important. I feel seen. I feel heard. And if we've learned anything the last several years in this space, whether you consider yourself a marketer, you're a salesperson, you're a leader, is that people want two things. They want to be seen and they want to be heard. And so how do we do that more effectively with our people? One of those ways is by remembering how they came into our world. So let's look at ManyChat for a second, because any business can use this. If you're on Instagram, any business can use ManyChat. And I love the idea of saying, hey, if this is something interesting to you, comment the word blank. Because one, we're getting them to engage, which is great for our own algorithm and getting people to see things and pushing it in front of more people that are like them. But it's also giving them the opportunity to have a conversation with us and for us to come back to those people later and have a conversation with them. But aside from that, it's also giving us the ability to know where they came in from. Not every time are you going to know where somebody came in from unless you are very much doing UTM links well. If you don't know what those are, drop a comment. We can do a whole entire little training on what a UTM link is, why you should use them, what benefits it has for you, and how to do it in the simplest way possible for you. But when we start to think about where people come from, when we know where people come from, there's a couple benefits here, whether you're using some of these softwares or not. I know where my people are. So if I can go back and see exactly where my people came from, and then I can go back at the end of a quarter or the end of a year and say, all the people from this platform had a higher likelihood of buying from me, what is my immediate strategy at that point? The strategy at that point is now to say, well, I'm going to put more ad money behind that. I'm going to put more resources behind that so I can get more of those people from that specific location, whether that's ads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, name your platform of choice, or maybe it's in person events, and knowing that that's what I want to put more resources towards. So that's the long term game of here is we want to make people feel valued, but we also want to have these data points for ourselves so that people can come back into our world and we can get more people just like that. So, for example, I have a friend who is in the process of trying to date and all of these things for the first time in a while. And he's had to try. He goes to his workout classes, he goes to speed dating, he goes to different groups. And there are certain places where there's more likelihood that he gets somebody's number or has an interaction with somebody that seems like a good fit. And so, obviously, in those kinds of situations, we go, well, I'm going to go do more of that thing. And so, in real everyday life, we think about this. So I want you to think about and just take a moment today to think about what are those places where people are coming to me? When are people more in my inbox? What am I doing? When are people doing things for me? So ManyChat, they can comment and then they can sign up through their DMs. But then what could we do? We could, one, keep track of that date in our system so that when they get back to that month where they signed up, we can go, hey, thanks for being on our list for a year. Or, hey, look at all these things. Because we're keeping track of some of these things in the background of like how long have people been on a list before they buy. And what we've seen statistically is that people will run through a course launch 4 times before they buy. That's a lot of times to try and fail and try again with the same people. So another example, I've been talking with real estate agents of there's a lot of people that will go and they'll start looking for a house months to years before they buy. But the agent who's going to keep them is the agent who is constantly giving them advice and showing them things. And we all know that we can't do this on a one-on-one basis because we would be completely overwhelmed with the people that aren't going to close for 6 months to a year from now. So how do we do this in an automated way that makes people still feel seen and heard? And we can do that through some of these data pieces and then creating systems and strategies that support those people. So when we talk about something like our email and in-person events, I can take a couple of different softwares that I use. One of them is called Self-Tact, and you can download it for free on your phone. And all you do is take a selfie with people and then send them a text. So I can see the date of the first time that I had an interaction with them. And then I can go back and say, hey, it's been a couple of months. Hey, at the end of the year, I can go back and talk to them because I'm creating those touch points. This really comes from that idea of the fortune is in the follow up. But what if the follow up could be automated to where you don't have to worry about it and it still feels like you're connecting with people? So you can focus on getting the people in, servicing the people that you have. And then when people start to go, oh, hey, I love this. Hey, I want to connect with you. Hey, I'd love to get on a call with you. Then you can take that time to be with those people. And I think there's a lot of times that we'll talk about this in the future that automation gets a really bad name because we use it in a way that feels general. We're trying to create a catch all for all of our people when everybody wants to feel individual. So, as you think through today, what are ways that you can talk about your origin story with each individual person? So, if I met them on Instagram, what's my origin story? If I met them at an in person event, what's my origin story? If I met them on LinkedIn and we started chatting back and forth, or they follow my newsletter, or they bought a product from me, romanticize that for them. Remind them why they're in your community. Remind them why they want to be connected with you so that they gain that more know, like, and trust and go, oh my God, yeah, Sue, you were just talking about how you needed X, Y, and Z. I know the perfect person for you. Because we all have a personality that we follow. Like mine is Elise Myers. If I knew Elise Myers in real life, I know for sure that we would be best friends because I follow her in a way that I'm like, okay, I see your values. I see who you are. And that's what makes these parasocial relationships turn into clients. And if we start to realize that that's what this is like, hey, oh my gosh, Ryan Reynolds. Everybody knows Ryan Reynolds. So think about today how you're going to start romanticizing those relationships, bringing people back into your community, and making knowing you an actual benefit to them and their lives, and not just with the goal of selling something. We all have to sell things. We all want to eat and live indoors. But if we can do it in a way that makes people feel seen and heard and valued, they will come back, and they will bring their friends in droves. So I hope to hear more from you. If there's any questions, please pop it in the comments or DM me. And if your team is ready to start leading well themselves, their teams, and your clients, I would love to get on a call with you and talk about what some of those trainings could look like for your leadership, your marketing, and your C-suite, using brain-based techniques to help you grow your business. So until tomorrow.